What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle. Today in the world of indie games, we're going to be checking out a title called Blacksmith Master. This is one of those games that has sort of like an unassuming name, I guess. It's got like a name that doesn't really titillate too much, but at the end of the day, I played around with this for about 2 hours, and I think that time got away from me while I was playing it, and I think that's honestly a pretty good sign. So this is a game where you are responsible for running your own blacksmith shop. A lot of games have tried to do stuff like this before, but ultimately the only one that I ever felt like I was really into and played like a ton was Shop-a-beep-beep-beep-keep. And so, since Shopkeep 2 ended up not being altogether that great, or at least not that enjoyable, I've been looking for a blacksmithing game that I can play around with, and this one has been the first one that I think grabbed me for a little while and made me want to play it. So we're going to show the game off for about 30 minutes. I'll give you some rough idea as to what's going on inside my blacksmith shop over here, who's doing what is taking place, what jobs we're actively attempting to accomplish, and then you can decide whether or not this is one of those demos that you wanted to check out for yourself. If after watching this you did indeed want to get the game for yourself, I got a link for you down below in the description. You can check that out there. On top of that, you can also take a look down below for all the associated links like Discord, Twitch streams, Patreon, all that kind of stuff, just in case you wanted to slide through and say hello or support my work. Let's go ahead and dive on in. So as I mentioned, Blacksmith Master is put it inside the chest. Blacksmith Master is a game where you are running a blacksmith shop, and you have total and complete control over your workshop inside the confines of this title to really do whatever it is that you want to do. I built all the walls here. I have formally built all of the workstations. I have also informally sort of interacted with my employees. There's been lots of fun going on, but let me go ahead and walk you on through it. So in the front of my shop right here, I've got a little storefront. You can set up various cabinets, and you can get kind of chests, and you can get little, I guess, racks and things of that nature, wardrobes that'll hold various items that are being produced inside of your shop. Customers will come on in, they will browse on through like this guy is doing right here. Apparently he found those cudgels to not be to his liking. We've got ourselves like the Roger Ebert, I suppose, of club analysis going on. He's also taking a look at my wooden scoops over there, but none of them seem to be the kind of thing that he's looking for. And so eventually, once they've made a selection, they will grab an item off the rack, they'll take it up to the front where I have an employee who's a cashier, and they will just check out. And we just get money from doing that, as you might expect. No commerce happens without the exchange of gold. However, there are also other things going on. We've got ourselves a world map right here. We can take on these work orders, which will give you a larger sum of cash. They will also give you a nondescript piece of paper. I don't know exactly what this paper is right here. It's some kind of, I don't know, like bill or receipt or something like that. You will trade these in for bigger jobs that unlock new technologies, and they will then make your workshop more sophisticated with more objects, more employees, and more things that you can do inside the confines of your shop. From there, what I've got going on this side is we have ourselves a little bit of a manufacturing area. So I've got a pallet full of ingots right here. I've got one worker. His only job is to go out and go over to the ingot storage, which you can see over on that right-hand side. That's a warehouse over there. He's going to grab things out of the warehouse, and he's going to bring them back on in. And then once the, I guess, well, not even ingots, he's going to go get ore. Once the ore has been placed over here, this guy will go ahead and process the ore down into ingots. It's important to note that if I want to, I can do this too. This is not all automated. Every single aspect of the shop you can interact with, and you can help out with any task that you want. And in fact, the game does give you a bunch of monetary bonuses for helping out with various tasks around the shop. I love the way that the ingots over here, they stack up, and it's oh so satisfying to get like a full grid of ingots on this side of my shop. I don't know why I enjoy it so much. I just do. I can't explain it. From there, when you've got work orders, so for example, right now I've got a work order to supply 20 iron tankards, which makes all of your drinks taste like a rusty battery, but it's all we've got to work with for right now. I've got guys that are working on that, so we've got various employees right here. You can go into this menu. I've got blacksmiths, and so I've got 2 blacksmiths right now that are working completely and totally on fulfilling that work order. I can also help out with that if I want. I've got one person that's just crafting random items that are in need and need to be taken out to the racks out here in this greater sort of sales area. And then I've got one guy whose actual job is just to sit around and research new technologies. So every single day that I've got like a blacksmith sitting around on this drafting table over here, we get light bulbs, which are a resource that you use for unlocking new items. So for example, I unlocked butcher knives not too long ago, but we're probably in the market for getting something new as well. Looks like we need 45 to learn a lot of this stuff, but I can get wooden pitchforks right there. So we'll go ahead and take that real fast, and that'll be added on into the global work orders that can come up, and also into the demands that customers are going to have when they come on into the shop. For now, how close are we to getting this order done? It looks like she's working on it right there, so I think that's probably going to be the final tankard that we need for this job to get done. If you wanted to see what the manufacturing process looks like, I can do a mace right now. So I can walk over here and I can grab a mace. We can take that on into our forge. We're going to play a little mini game where we try to catch as many flames as possible. If you catch all the flames, you get a bonus right there, so $25 when we deliver it to a chest. Over on this side, we're going to hammer it on out. There's nothing too complex like forming or sculpting or anything else like that. The game tries to keep it simple. We're going to quench that over on this side, and then we are going to deliver it to the item chest, where I've got an employee that will take things out of the item chest, and they will either take them out to the delivery area, which is out in the front, so this is the place where all of our tankards went, or if we've got the extra mace laying around, I've got an employee that will actually put it on the rack over on this side. The only thing that I haven't figured out how to do by myself is how to place things on the rack all by my lonesome. Different employees have different stats. They do level up as they complete tasks. They get XP. You can go over here and you can see, for example, that one of my blacksmiths has leveled up, which means that we can apply a skill point. I'm going to put that in researching. Since his entire job is just in researching new technologies, being able to get 30 research per day instead of 20 research per day is fairly major and is going to make our life a lot easier over the long run. Aside from that, I can also complete that work order right there, so we'll get 900 bucks added to our account, and we will also get one of these writs of trade on this side. We've got another thing. It looks like I can make ingots into bigger ingots if I go through right there, but I'm going to need to research access to the metal scoop before we can finish that off. Over here, they want me to create 21 kitchen knives. That's got a pretty good paycheck assigned to it. This one over here is a big load of weaponry for the Night Watch, apparently. There's no reputation or anything else being added on into the game right now, so we don't have various factions vying for our affections and our flavors as we're going through the title, but I suppose we can start working on this guy. Yeah, let's go ahead and work on this guy right here, and I'll probably actually assist with this since there's a lot of things going into this. So I'll probably get started on the maces, and we'll try to mash those out as quickly as possible. I think the employees, they tend to work stepwise from the left to the right, so what I do to keep us from, like, tripping over each other is I usually try to go through and do all the stuff on the right so that it's already ready to go, and they don't have to work on that. Now, keep in mind, some of these items are going to get poached by random employees taking them out to the racks in the front so that we're generating passive income from people just buying things. It's kind of like first come, first serve, but I think if we work on this hard enough, we should be able to get it done. And then from there, I think I actually need to expand the shop too, but I'll probably wait for this work order to be done before I show you what the work orders, or I'm sorry, what the build orders are actually going to look like. I found the building in this game to be really, really easy. It's no muss, no fuss. Everything works. It's very snappy. It's apparent that even though the game is using Cinti assets in order to get the game done, which is why the visuals here look very similar to a million other games that you've seen over on Steam, it's very clear that the developers actually know what they're doing, because there's a lot of things here that just work well that tend to sort of be like the features that get thrown out in other games and end up feeling wonky and janky as you go on through. I do think that this is going to be a very specific game that ties into a very specific player. Like, this is not pulse-pounding gameplay with a ton of depth to it, but it is a really good game to put on a podcast and kind of just like zone out while you work on projects and you expand out your shop and make it bigger. And honestly, I think there's room for those types of games inside the greater ecosystem of video game design. What are you trying to do over here? I'm trying to use this quencher. Am I in your way right now? I should probably get another quenching bucket too. We'll throw that on in there, and I'll get back to you once this work order has been completed. It's time for some editation. And actually, we've come up on the end of the workday right now, so I think it's probably going to let me finish up the last couple tasks that are around. The end of day feels a little bit wonky because even though it gets to 12 a.m., time stops passing until every single person that has a queued up job has that job completed, and then it will end the day. That's probably one of those little things that needs to be smoothed over so it happens actively throughout the work shift, but it hasn't really been that disruptive so far. And so we've got a couple people dropping things off right now. We've got some maces out front that are doing their thing. It looks like we're stocked up on clubs. We could probably use a few more scoops out here. I also need to get some other things. Honestly, I just need more employees. I need to make like a little employee waiting area too, because your employees sit on a bench. Basically, benches determine how many employees you can have. We made a bunch of money today. That's a really, really good thing for us. I'm actually excited about that because going into this video, I was struggling a little bit with the amount of cash that I was able to make on like a day-to-day basis. So let's pop on into, I'll let them just work on the rest of that work order. And the building system in this game is incredibly simple. Like, it's not difficult at all. As of right now, inside the confines of this demo, which is being used to promote the game, you're only going to have one floor, but there's been placeholders in other places of the game that have said that you've got stairs that go up to upper floors, and so this is not going to be all of your building space for your workshop right here. Neither are you going to be confined to only producing blacksmithing objects. I've already got carpentry, for example, but there's also going to be clothing making, there's going to be cooking, you're going to be able to open up a tavern from as far as I can tell from looking at some of the future technologies. I may be a little bit off on that last one, but my general experience so far has been that you're going to be able to make quite a workshop. We can also leave the workshop and walk around town. That's one of those things that I'm hoping they'll really develop out and give this thing kind of like a game world with like events and stuff that are happening and like wars and things of that nature that you can sort of be an opportunistic ironmonger and decide who wins by supplying them. But for the moment, I think we just need a little bit more space. So I'm just going to draw out some walls right here. Creating your workshop is very, very easy. It's not challenging at all. In fact, they've got it really, really locked in as far as what you can accomplish. What kind of floors do I have over here? I don't actually know. It looks like I've got kind of like that little herringbone pattern. Okay, so if we were going with the herringbone pattern right there, I was trying to remember what floor I had, but couldn't quite remember. I want everything to match. I'm a little bit fastidious and anal retentive about everything matching. From there, I also need to get the upper walls decorated back here. Was I doing like red brick? Is that what I was doing back here? Okay, let's do, that's not the right red brick. Where's the right red brick? That's the right red brick. All right, let's paint this all out so that everything matches. Did it get the other side? It did not get the other side. Good. All right, so our workshop has been arranged over here. When it comes to moving objects around, it's really simple. You just click and move things around as you desire to move them around. That's pretty much it. I've got a number of forges over here, but I was kind of thinking that I'd like to rearrange the forges and maybe get another one. They're a little bit pricey, but I could put the bucket right there so that people can quench on that side, and then we make it so they can just turn around right here. Yeah, that looks okay. Let me get another forge on this side to make us a little bit more efficient so that people aren't tripping over each other. And then from there, I needed more spots where employees could sit at, but I don't necessarily know exactly how I want to do that or how I want to make that function. Maybe I'll add another bench over here. I don't know. I'm going to need some room for like racks and stuff though too for like more objects, because each of these things that I have storing my various sundries that I'm selling to people, they can only hold like one thing at a time. And so I'm going to need that to be a little bit more aggressively manned. From there, now that I have an extra bench, how many employees can I hire? I also have a level up on an assistant. This guy is using the smelter right now. We'll just make it so he can carry more objects with him each time that he goes. That's pretty much, I find that with these little assistant guys, making sure that they have good bag efficiency so they can carry like 3 or 4 things at a time really helps out and it'll save you a lot of workflow. I could probably use another blacksmith for crafting for racks, would be my guess. So let's grab one more blacksmith. And I'd like them to kind of be a jack of all trades. I think Dionysia will work. And then with Dionysia, we'll put her over here to work on things for the racks. So one more employee ready to go on that side. It bears noting that you don't even need to really play this game. You can play it all from this menu right here and just be an administrator for your entire shop. Like, if you don't find the mini games and like the little WarioWare things that your characters do to be fun or entertaining in any respect, you can absolutely just play the game like this and speed things up, and you can organize things and move things around and pretty much just be the manager of the shop if that's what you want to do. I do find, though, that it helps to give these guys an assist whenever they want to get stuff done. And so let's get the final mace done, I think, for this work order, because it was quite a large work order. Hopefully she's not making it right there. I think she's probably making the final... Oh, she made a bludgeon. Okay. She might be making it for the shop, though. It's kind of hard to say. I'm just going to dip this one on in here, and if it ends up being an extra, we'll just sell it retail. It's worth like 50 bucks if we sell it that way anyways. Oops, accidentally missed a swing right there because I thought the minigame wasn't starting. I was kind of like spamming on my key. I'm like, why won't it work? I'm pushing the button so many times right now, and it still won't work. All right. Oh, I need to quench this first. Let me take this on back to the quenching spot. I'll take you to the quenching spot. There we go. Now that we got it quenched up, we can drop it off over here. Perfect. Bludgeon's done, and it looks like the work order is ready to be delivered. Complete that bad boy for me. Sounds good. How we doing on research right now? Is research moving along at a rate that has everybody excited? Like, can you feel the crackle in the air right now when you're doing your research? My little tartan got messed up over here, too. I had, like, these upper wall tartan things going on that I really like the look of. There we go. Perfect. It looks salesy in here. It looks homey, but it also looks salesy. It looks ready to go. I've got 21 ores over there. Good. I'm finally catching up on ingots, dude. I was running out of ingots for a little while, and it got me feeling kind of paranoid about what I have available. What other things do I have here that I haven't actually made yet? I suppose just to keep this symmetrical, I could add that right there. Nobody's working on carpentry right now either, and so we can move that over to there. We haven't really had any giant carpentry orders over the course of this playthrough. Hasn't really been necessary. Is there like a bigger smelter that I can get to that like smelts faster? Oh, we can do like sharpening and stuff down there. All right. Well, I think I'm just kind of like waiting at the moment for more research to come on in. I don't want to grab another blacksmith and do another drafting table because it takes up a lot of space, and I'm kind of limited by what I can do inside the demo right now. But having another one might not be the worst idea. Either way, the shop is all ready to rock, and so I can pretty much just put this thing on autopilot for right now. Actually, I can get the iron scoop right now. So let's just get the scoop right this second. I didn't realize I had enough research. And so now I can make ingots into even larger ingots. Okay, that sounds good. I should have a bunch of people working on this. I'll probably help out with it for a minute if I could hit the right key. There we go. I knew I could hit the right key. Where's that scooper at? 53 bucks. Grab your ingot faster, dude. You're all up in my way right now. I'm trying to ingot it up so that I can be like a good boss that's actually in the trenches with you guys. Nobody likes that boss, the one that just hangs out in the office all day, dude. My first job, that was my rude awakening to how like work actually works. I had like a minimum wage job at Blockbuster Video, and I had this manager that would just like sit in the back all day and like smoke cigarettes and just like watch the security cameras. That was it. That was like his 8-hour shift, is he would just like sit there in the back room, and he had these, I remember he had these 2 coffee mugs. Like, and so one coffee mug he would fill up with cigarettes, right? Because he would sit back there and smoke. And the other coffee mug, he would fill up with the filters that he would cut off of his cigarettes. And so I guess he smoked like these Camels or whatever. And I guess they didn't have like a filter length that he liked. He liked it like midway in between the 100s and like whatever else. And so he would take scissors and he would cut half of the filter off, and he would fill up a cup with filters, and then he would fill up another cup with like the pre-prepped cigarettes that he would have right there. And that's how he would do his 8-hour shift every single day. That was the whole thing. Left us out into the trenches. I was a little bit different because I started out as an apprentice to my dad, because my dad's a roofer. He started out as a machinist with Maytag back in like the 80s. That was his first job out of high school, is in the Bay Area where I live. there was a Maytag factory with washers and dryer construction. And so my dad was a Maytag machinist who would work on washing machines that had been sent in for repair or had been recalled or whatever else. And my dad is like, to this day, really, really good with PCBs and like soldering and all that kind of stuff. But the factory closed down. They offered to move our entire family to Detroit because that's where the factory went to. But my dad opted to stay here because that's where our entire family is. Like, we don't know anybody in Detroit. And so I kind of like live in a small town where my grandma lives a block from me. My best friend lives next door, you know what I mean? My parents live across town. My uncle lives 1 street away. Like, my entire family is in this area, so like moving to Detroit wasn't an option back in those days. And so my dad just kind of quit and got an apprenticeship with a local roofing company that was run by my mom's best friend's husband's dad. He got that job over there, and then he roofed for like the next 40 years, and I was his apprentice when I was a kid. So I started out roofing when I was probably like 11 years old, which is a tough job, real tough job. It'll get you acclimated to hard work very, very quickly. And like one of the things my dad always did is like when you're on the roof and you're running a company like that, you lead from the front, you know, like if you've got like a shit detail that's got to be done by the employees, like the boss is the one that leads off. Like he should be the first person to be doing that crappy task just to kind of like set an example and keep morale high. My first boss, because like that was the only boss I ever had, was my dad, who's a very lead from the front kind of guy. You know, if there's a bad job to be done, he's not going to assign it to a different crew. He's going to assign some guys to do it, and he's also going to assign himself to be on the crew to do the worst job. Because that's what keeps morale up at work and keeps people wanting to be employed by you. And so I got kind of a rude awakening at my first job at Blockbuster Video by having a boss that was kind of like that guy that just like sits in the back and gives orders and doesn't really do anything. I'm sure you guys have had bosses like that too. Man, there's a lot of scoops that need to be made, huh? Things seem to be flowing. I think your success in this game kind of depends on being able to see what areas are getting bogged down when it comes to production. But we seem to be doing a pretty good job right now. Like, I don't really have too many complaints. I think we got a restock on wood. So 30 wood for $7.50. We don't get a discount for ordering in bulk, which is really kind of unfortunate. There should be a discount for ordering in bulk. So it should be 1 for $25, like 10 for $20.25, and then like 30 for probably, oh, I don't know, call it like $6.50 or $700. It'd be nice to get a bulk discount, but I'll spend the $7.50 to restock the wood pile real quick. It looks like we also need to get some clubs out there for the floor. Oh, working hours are over. All right, well, I guess we're on to and moving along to the next day. Spent a lot of money today, but we also made quite a bit of money, so I think it'll work out. At the end of the day, it tells you how many customers left angry. I think this game is probably still in its infancy, and so my observations, having played the game now for about 2 or 3 hours, I guess. I don't know exactly how long I'm playing, so I hesitated a little bit right there. I lost track of time, like I said. But my observation is that all of the core systems are spinning along and functioning fine. Figuring out inefficiencies, expanding the shop, all feels good. It's going to need a little bit more spice for the soup, though. It's going to need, like, events and things that come up. It's going to need, like, relationships and things of that nature. A really good game to look at, actually, for inspiration is for its flaws. There was a title called Anvil Story that I very, very much liked that was made by a team where you were a blacksmith working in a shop, you have various employees, and there's like these events that happen because you're in the middle of the War of the Roses, from what I recall. Or the 100 Years' War. I don't remember exactly what war it was, but either way, you're in the middle of a war and you kind of have to decide whether or not you want to supply the French or the English or the bandits, or there's a bunch of different factions that are basically vying for the attentions of your shop. Those little things, I think, spice up the gameplay, and they add a little bit of narrative to the whole thing that makes the thing a little bit more interesting, and this game is completely devoid of that. So this game is entirely a sandbox as of right now, and it's a perfectly fine sandbox, but with those extra little optional things that they add on in, like customers coming in asking for certain orders or demands or everything else that force you to get outside your comfort zone and produce things that you may or may not quite be ready for yet, and also give you a little bit of expository, I guess, like dictation or narrative, the storyline that goes along with it. Those would all really be helpful, but as of right now, it seems like they've got plans to add a lot of things to the game, because inside the demo, that's how many items you can craft right there as you're playing through, and it seems like things get a lot more complex. It looks like we get into whitesmithing as well, silversmithing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of utensils. There's a lot of weapons and things that can be supplied here. I always like the idea that they had in Hammer, what was the name of that game where you had the dwarves that were down inside like the ground in a little fortress? Hammer Ting was the name of the game. One of the ideas that I was really upset that Hammer Ting abandoned is that in Hammer Ting there was kind of like this overarching war where everybody on the surface was kind of fighting a great war against Sauron, and different factions and different fronts would ask you to supply weapons, and they would recede or advance depending on whether or not you were able to supply the stuff. Little things like that are huge, and I would love to see those be implemented into the game, because at the end of the day, being an ironmonger is a job that affects the outcomes of those sorts of situations. And so I think the game is perfectly fine. It's perfectly functional for right now. It's satisfying to play. It's a little bit of a clicker game. Whether or not it bites you, I think will probably be highly contingent on whether or not you enjoy that sort of clicker gameplay. But if you do enjoy that clicker gameplay, you'll probably have a good time with it. And then from there, I think there's a lot of room for them to add some extra garlic and seasoning to the soup and make it a little bit better. And I look forward to seeing if they want to get that done. My name is Splattercat. I sift through the pile to find what's worthwhile in the world of indie games every single day so that you don't have to. Today up on the chopping block, we were completing the demo for a title called Blacksmith Master. Tomorrow it'll be something else. Take care, and that's all I got for you, folks. Bye.